We're back here on Around 10 Friday edition. Zach and Harvey hanging out with you, and we got a couple more guests here in our studio. We have Joanna Hay and Jaret Ellis joining us to talk about the Noise For Jordon event going on tomorrow. Joanna and Jaret, thank you all so much for coming on.
Of course, happy to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the Noise For Jordon. The event tomorrow, it starts at 4. There's the celebration of life for Jordan at 4 o'clock, right, at the Grand?
Correct.
Talk us through that just a little bit about what people can kind of,
Well, I'll just mention the structure of the day.
Yeah,
and of course we'll want to talk a little bit about Jordan.
Yeah,
too.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
So 4 to 6 is the celebration of life at the Grand Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably to 6:30. It's going to open when the day will start with a drum group coming in from Louisville and entering the theater, and then going on stage, and we'll have speakers and music throughout the celebration of life. And then including Ben Solee, a video from Molly Rogers, who is sending a video from LA since she couldn't attend. Jaret's going to speak, and it'll be an amazing way that the community and the family and the friends of Jordan can all come together to celebrate his life.
Because he meant so much to the people of this community. It's really important to be able to share that space and be able to have those have that celebration of life in a community setting like that.
Exactly. And the day's in 2 parts. So
right.
The theater's pretty full up at this point. There are some tickets available, and there may be some tickets at the door as well.
Okay.
And at the end of the celebration of life, a drum line is going to come out of the theater and onto St. Clair and process to the Broadway stage, where the festival will begin at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
6:30. So there'll be a transition in there.
Sure.
So a great time for people to show up on St. Clair will be to see the drum line coming out of the theater, and then the festival will begin.
So Jaret Jordon was your brother.
Yeah.
If folks are not familiar with him, I'm not sure how, but if they aren't, can you maybe talk a little bit about him and what, how important he was to you or to the community?
Yeah, he was a huge spark of energy. He was this very quiet kid growing up, and just all of a sudden he started playing the bass guitar a little bit. And it was really evident that he had a lot of just passion and ability to learn instruments. And then he pretty quickly switched to drums, where he would just be very inspirational to anybody that would see him. He would be so just energetic, like it would just flow from him. And at some point he got me into music because I had no idea what I wanted to do in life, and I thought, well, I could drum too. So I've been playing catch up with him my whole life, basically trying to figure out what he's doing. But not only did he have a lot of energy, but just the way he listened to music, he could hear details. He was an amazing audio engineer. He went to school down in the School of Audio Engineering in Nashville, where he ended up working. Pretty much as soon as he graduated, they hired him to teach. That's how good he was. So he mixed a lot of great records. He played on lots of great records. Ben Solee, of course, they toured all around, and they went around different places in the world. Yeah. So he's just, anyone he played with, he had a way of kind of, I don't want to say simplifying the music, but making the music come to life and breathe, and just, he could play something complicated, but it still felt good. Or he could play something simple and it felt good, either way. Whatever the song needed, he would do. So he's a very inspirational musician, for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody who had the pleasure of hearing him perform live would probably share a similar sentiment. 'Cause luckily, I got to see him play at the Coffee Tree. It was randomly at Coffee Tree one night years and years ago, and I saw him and I saw Ben Solee just walking across the train tracks with his cello, and they just happened to play a set. And me being a drummer myself, I always looked up to Jordan and just loved hearing him perform anytime that I could. And so that was a really, really special night to see him play. But exactly like you said, you could just tell there was a love of the music and love for everything that he was doing there behind the kit.
It was really his first language, I think.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier to communicate through music sometimes with certain people than it is in real life even.
Yeah. Now, was he in, this is coming to mind just right in real time, was he in a band that they did some police covers back in the day?
Yeah, Atomic Sandbox Theory. I think we did.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking about.
trying to
I think that's the first time I actually saw him perform.
What did we
yeah.
do? Probably Message in a Bottle, I would imagine.
Yes, yeah.
It seemed
But he
like-
did. Yeah, he did such an excellent job. I loved hearing him play in that band too, for sure. Well, and let's talk about the Jordan C. Ellis Fund, the Fund for Arts and Healing, right? This will tell us a little bit about that program, whoever would like to.
We're really trying to help people that are struggling, and there's a lot of people that are struggling. And one thing in our culture is there's a lot of stigma and shame behind having problems. You know, there's if you are addicted to something, then you probably are going to feel alone because there's just so much pressure saying that you're doing something bad. And the reality is that everybody struggles with something. So we need to just get rid of this idea that if we're struggling, it's a bad thing. It's a lot better to be able to just ask for help and say, can you help me? And I think most family members would agree that if you have someone that you love, you would rather help them out than to just sit, you know, on the other side of the fence criticizing them or whatever, so these people feel alone. So we really want to destigmatize people that are struggling with addiction, mental illness, depression, suicidal thoughts, and also bring them to resources and to organizations and individuals that are offering help for them. Because when you're struggling in that situation, it's really hard to know where to look, and it's hard to function, you know, and it's hard to pay your bills, all these sort of things. So it can just add up to be overwhelming. And that's what I've learned anyway in the last several months.
Yeah, you've learned a lot in the last several months after
Yeah, it's been
Jordan died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the festival is at 6:00. Can we talk about some of the amazing musicians that are going to be there?
Well, we're going to be having a Stir Fry Musette reunion.
Yeah.
So we haven't really done
Yeah.
that since my dad had a stroke.
That's right. So Jeff Ellis
Okay.
and I, of course, are part of Stir Fry Musette,
Yeah.
and Jaret and Jordan always played with us.
Yeah.
Molly Rogers as a guest, Jerry and Nat. Laura Keeler's going to sit in with us, and Jerry's going to sing. It's been hard. You know, the Ellises have really endured a lot in the recent years with Jeff's stroke. So it's wonderful to be able to play together
Yeah.
this weekend. Sorry, I knew I'd do that.
But then and it's the names, you know, Will Renshaw and Laura Penn, Quantum Mechanics, Rhodey, just this wonderful, really celebration of folks coming together to celebrate Jordan, but it shows how much he impacted people in our community and the love, right, for Jordan and what he did.
And nobody can think of the Kentucky Coffee Tree Cafe without thinking of Jordan Ellis.
I know,
He was
I know.
always
Yeah.
there, hanging around, talk to everybody and anybody, always with a smile and a kind heart.
And Margot Valiente is coming in from Brooklyn, and that's someone that Jordan played with in Texas. So some of their old bandmates are actually driving up from Texas
Oh, that's amazing.
right now, and we are going to throw it together. I'm going to try to substitute for Jordan and fill in best I can with all that. So don't think we're going to have a rehearsal, but I'm sure it'll be fine. You know,
Yeah.
everybody can do it.
Yeah, such accomplished and professional musicians like you all, and it'll come together, I'm sure.
It will. It'll be festival style out there on the
Yeah.
Broadway stage. We'll be running up, switching
That's
out
right.
instruments, switching out. Seth will be running the board and the lights, and everybody will roll with us. And we'll go till about 10 o'clock.
Nice.
And there are a lot of support organizations who will have tables at the festival. Yes Arts, Just Say Yes, Suicide Prevention, which is, what's the number for the Suicide Prevention Hotline? Oh dear, is it
Yeah.
998?
It's too early for that
988.
question
Sorry,
for me. I'm
unprepared.
supposed to be sleeping right now. I'm a musician.
If you can look that up, all of the Light Clinic will be there with a community care tent, sort of a sober tent, for relaxation and resources on self-care. A lot of information will be out on the street tomorrow night around this festival. Lots of resources. Please go. Gather the names, get the cards, so that each of us can think about our family members, our neighbors, and our friends who may be in crisis at any point.
Yeah.
And that's what this festival is really all about. It's celebration for Jordan and bringing the community together to grieve,
And
as well
awareness.
as really having these conversations to destigmatize these issues and to provide resources.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
I was just going to add about the fund. So the Jordan C. Ellis Fund for Arts and Healing came out of these conversations and as we were preparing for this event. And the Franklin County Community Fund is housing that under the Bluegrass Community Foundation.
Right,
So it's
yeah.
organized professionally, it's donor managed, and the goals for that fund will be to help individuals and organizations provide assistance to people who are in a crisis and need assistance. So
Yeah, we actually had folks from Franklin County Community Fund
Yeah,
on just a few weeks ago. Yeah, to
they've
talk
been a
about that.
huge,
So it's so nice.
Yeah.
so many organizations, the Grand Theater, Kentucky Coffee Tree Cafe, Just Say Yes, tourism. I mean, anybody who we asked to help with this festival showed up.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And just like if you know somebody that's struggling, the best resource is yourself.
Yeah.
Really, when it comes down to it, just reach out to those people you care about and don't, offer them a gentle hand. I think is the best thing we can do, and not just criticize them or tell them that they're a failure or anything like that. There's enough shame around in our culture and enough pressure. So just try to be gentle with each other, I think is the best thing we can do at this point.
Yeah. And it's so great you guys have all these resources that will be there for folks to, they're like, oh, I don't have any problems. It's like, well, go learn so you can help if there are folks who do. right?
Exactly.
And-
And there will be food vendors and there'll be drink. It'll be a combination of a party atmosphere and a nurturing and caring atmosphere. And that's the way our world is. So
Yeah.
that's what we're offering, and we're putting our arms around everybody at this event.
We tried to make an event where Jordan would come
Yeah.
to it and have a good time and maybe learn something.
Yeah.
That's what our goal was.
That's awesome.
And probably be on stage, right?
Yeah, he
for
would be
sure.
on stage.
With everybody.
Yeah, with everybody. And just to back up, 988 is the hotline for the suicide
Thank you.
prevention. So yeah, you were absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And before we let you all leave, we've got to have a couple of musicians answer our question of the day today about favorite eras in music. Jaret, anything come to mind for you?
To me, it's without question the late 60s to the mid 70s. You have so much diversity in music. You have the economy really supporting music. So there's huge budget albums, like you have the progressive rock movement, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Pink Floyd, Yes, King Crimson. You have jazz fusion making a lot of huge waves with Jaco Pastorius, Mahavishnu Orchestra, all that kind of stuff. You have country music, pop music even having interesting chord progressions and textures, and it's just so much going on until maybe the late 70s when it started getting super glammy and probably cocaine influenced or something.
Yeah, if we're being honest, yeah.
Yeah.
The drum
that's my
beat
opinion.
changed at that point, right?
Yeah, the drumming changed. The drum machine messed it up.
Joanna, what comes to mind for you?
All right, so I'm going to go back to the 1930s because
Ooh, I like it.
Stefan Grappelli, Django Reinhardt, I'm afraid, as a violinist, those are my inspiration. And stir-fry, a lot of the stir-fry music really came out of that era and that inspiration as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like this. What great
Paris in the
Yeah.
30s.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hot club.
Well, thank you all, Jaret, Joanna. Thank you all so much for being on and talking about Jordan Ellis and talking about the Noise for Jordon event tomorrow. Again, Celebration of Life is at 4 o'clock at the Grand Theater. If folks want to try to find, I think probably Grand Theater's website, or if they were at the door, see if there's availability there for
Exactly,
that.
and there's a website with all the information and the timing,
That's
which is Noise for Jordan with an O,
yeah.
JORDON.
That's right.
.org, noiseforjordan.org.
Okay.
And then again, the concert will be 6:30 or so. And
Yep,
we'll go the rest of the night.
we're going to have a blowout on the streets of
Awesome.
Frankfurt, downtown
That's right.
Broadway. Here we come.
Ben Sollee will also be playing, and the Native Invaders will be playing as well. And we'll probably have some collaboration and all kinds of guests this
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Well, thank you all so much for coming on the show
Yeah.
today and being here with us. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
We'll see you on Saturday.
Thank
Yeah.
you. See you Saturday.